I can't even imagine myself at that age looking at the hills. So being in Congo, looking at the hills of where I was born, I was like, I want to even hug the hills from far. They took my glasses, they broke them, they beat me, they just took me to the pickup. I must say that when we reached the main jail of Ruhengeri, we felt somehow relieved. Because in those districts and all police have been torturing people. But when we went to the main jail, they didn't torture everybody. Surprisingly, you could see Catholic praying, Muslim praying, even traditional.
Everyone's praying.
Praying, everyone.
Hello, everyone. My guest this week on the Long Form podcast is Eugene Rutagarama, the proprietor of Emeraude Hotel here in Rusizi. Born in 1955, Eugene has been exiled on countless occasions and was imprisoned in the infamous Ruhengeri Prison. His is a story of an ordinary Rwandan who's lived an extraordinary life. He shares his story with us today. Hello there. Before we dive into today's conversation, have you subscribed to our channel yet? If you haven't, do so. And remember to share your thoughts with us in the comments below and like this video. Your support means a lot. Now let's get into it. Mr. Eugene,
Yes, Sanny.
welcome to the Long Form.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for joining me. It's an absolute pleasure to have you sitting where you're sitting. And I also want to thank you for inviting me to your amazing hotel.
It's a shared pleasure.
Yes. So we are here in Rusizi, right next to the Congolese city of Bukavu, a city of 3 million people. Right now, we know that in Congo, there's a lot of civil conflict, rebellions. Has the issues with M23 and rebels and all that, how have they affected you here at the hotel?
And I must say that it has affected our clientele somehow, because we used to have many people coming, staying at this hotel while they want to transact business in Congo. Some of them will even call Congolese to join them at this hotel, and then Congolese go back. So nowadays, this number is drastically reduced. But it is still, I still have some people, a good number of people coming and crossing. The time of crossing is between 9 and 2 p.m. So this number is not a big one which give a business.
Other than that, have you felt that there's a conflict in Bukavu, or is it a bit peaceful?
So far it is peaceful, because we have hundreds of Rwandans crossing the border to Congo every day. Congo is crossing to Rwanda every day, going to Burundi, going to the other side of Congo. So I think here in Bukavu it is still peaceful, unless some time to time there is a kind of strike, but it is really rare. So Bukavu is still peaceful.
Yeah, that's good, because actually, when you're here at the hotel, the Bukavu is maybe even 200 meters across the water.
That's true.
Yeah, it's actually very interesting that you can be in Rwanda, and just across the water is another country.
Definitely, yes.
Yeah. So you were born in this district of Rusizi.
Yeah, I was born 10 kilometers from this place, and I grew up to when I completed the primary school until I went to boarding school.
You were born in, you told me, 1955.
1955, and at that time it was called Changugu area, and actually it was still colonial time in 1955.
Can you, so some of us, personally, me, I was born in 1980. That is a long time. For me, it feels like a long time ago, but for you, I think it's just recent.
It's yesterday.
So you, as a child born in colonial times, in Rwanda, in that time it was Changugu. What was your family like? What was your childhood like?
That during the colonial time, Burundi, Rwanda, Congo was one country. So even you will see people crossing border without any passport, any visa. And I recall that where I was born at 50 meters from the first tarmac in this region.
Oh, the first tarmac road?
Yes. Tarmac road which was from Bukavu to Bujumbura, crossing the other side of Congo. So there was a lot of interaction. And then which a lot of interactions means also business. So my family was transacting some businesses, but also my father was a dancer. You know, the local administrator, Rwandan, has his own dancers.
In Hore?
In Hore, yes. Yeah. So my father was among the leaders of this particular.
And your mom was, what did she do?
On top of being in Hore, of course, he was also transacting a cow's business.
Oh, he was
going to Ruhango, the central of the country, going to the north up to Rutare, which is in Mjumba, and bringing cows, taking them to Congo to sell them. That was his daily business, private. Yeah.
And
so my mom, because we were at that junction, Burundi, Congo, Rwanda, on the main tarmac, mom was transacting beers, breads, oil. So this is the kind of supermarket, current supermarket now.
Yes.
But that was now being done at home. So mom was selling them to many people going from one country to another one, stopping over at our place.
And how many siblings did you have?
We were 6 live. So no, all days, some were born, some died very early. So we were 6.
6 in number.
Yeah.
How many boys, how many girls?
We had only 2 girls and 4 boys.
Could you say that your childhood was peaceful?
Until 60, it was very peaceful. That was the time where was no one threatening you, threatening a neighbor. As in many areas of the country have cows, so children will go keep the young cows. Older will go keep the old cows. So that was the life, easy life. The soil was very fertile, so you had food. And of course, on top of that, I think I would say that the privilege you had was to have that openness, meeting people from Congo, from Rwanda, from Burundi. But that was all having a big group of business man, bring a cow together with him. There's people used to stay 10 days waiting that the cows reach them. They used to go in a bus, they buy cows, they give them to young people. People will just keep on foot, take them from Rutare, so it means that the bus will come and people will wait at home for a week. even more. So that was also, I call it a privilege, but because I feel that we could meet people from completely different culture or different background. So it was enriching.
It seems like it was a good time. But of course, anyone who knows our history, they know that in 1959, there was the so-called Kamaramaka, the dissolution of the of the Rwandan monarchy, the entry into force of the ideology, the genocide ideology of the Parme Hutu and everything like that. How did that politics of 1959 start affecting you here in Rusizi?
People in Rusizi were not enough politicized. So the Parme Hutu and the other parties were not really felt at the ground. So we started to see in 1960, we started seeing people from the Congo flying from the Congo to Congo. And very few people. We saw 2 houses which were burned. So all of us on the all hills, we moved to Congo. But sincerely, there was no such threats, because every day our parents will come from Congo, come to our farms, take food or farm, take food to Congo, and then probably 3 to 6 months we came back.
So, if I may, who was burning those houses?
That's what I don't know. But I think very few people had that news that Parme Hutu is burning houses, because those people fleeing to Congo were Tutsi, telling stories that their houses have been burned in Congo or in some area of Kibuye. So I think we even call it kind of gangs of young people, because from that time I didn't hear any political leader talking about that, organize that burning of house.
So when you talk about those who are running away from their homes, fleeing into Congo, you're talking about the Tutsi?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, okay. Tutsi fleeing the Congo, fleeing from Kibuye, or channeled to this area, going to Bukavu and Congo.
So you're 5 years old. You're now in Congo. You were here in Bukavu or just
up country? So we are from my home. I can see where we fled to.
Yes.
Because it's only the Rusizi River which we crossed. And then we went again, the people didn't go to refugee camps. We went to our friends, Congolese, who host us. You could see that a Congolese could host 10 families. So
because you fled maybe with your cows
and we, as I mentioned, we didn't go far. Parents will come back to Rwanda every day to take food, so we were not a very heavy dependent on the host.
Okay, so you were there for maybe 5 months, you said?
Yeah, 3 to 5 months.
And then you came back.
We came
Your
back.
father. So that is the first time, we can say that's the first time you went to exile.
Exactly.
As a 5-year-old.
Yes.
So you come back. It's now about 1960, 1961.
1960.
Okay.
The end of the 1960.
So your family comes back.
Yes.
All of you come back, no problem. And then life continues.
Life continues. I went to school. I started the primary school at that time. The life, my father went back to his business. But of course, the business of my mom just collapsed.
Why?
Because there was not that easy movement between the countries. Because 61 was at Kamarampaka, and Congo was now a separate country, Burundi separate country. So the transaction between the countries became lower. But also our things have been looted.
Oh, the
Yeah,
things in
maybe-
the shops.
Yes,
Ah.
they have looted, and so we started just farming.
So you started primary school.
Yes.
Your father continued trading.
The cows business.
How was that? How was that experience? Now you've been born in what time they used to call it Rwanda, Urundi, Belge. Now it's the independent
Country.
Rwanda. What was that experience like? Primary school. Did you feel discrimination?
Yes. Yeah, definitely. I think, as I could say, before 60, the people, leaders in this region of Cyangugu were not really aware or active in politics. But from that time, from that they called the revolution, 1959, then 61 was the Kamarampaka. So they called people from across the country, they called them Arwanashyaka. And
those are activists.
Activists. They brought them all to Gitarama. Then they said, this is a republic, it's not anymore a kingdom. That's what they call the republic coming, Kamarampaka. And from that time, those leaders coming from those meetings start now being very active.
With Parmehutu ideology.
Yes, Parmehutu ideology. Also, I would say the sectarism started. They started threatening. The Hutu started to be, I would say, not even all Hutus. Some called themselves leaders, started now having meetings. The national leaders will come to Cyangugu really to warm up the political arena. And so we start now being targeted. You noise, you look like. It's really uncomfortable for a child of 6 years, 7 years, 8 years, 9 years to feel that he's being targeted.
Is that how you felt?
Yes, what I really felt.
And you felt, and did that happen
from
school? Did it happen in the villages?
All over the places, especially in school, but also outside of the school. When you go to the church on the way back, young boys like yourself will just threaten you. You are the one. And again, the Nyenzi rebellion had started. So as they started the attacking, so we were just targeted.
Yes.
And so even a young classmate will call you are Nyenzi way, you just. And so that kind of atmosphere was just warming up to 63. And 63, very a known stage of the conflict in Rwanda.
What happened in 63?
In 63, the Nyenzi had attacked. They said always Mgeyeye, Bugesera. We didn't know exactly. But the thing is that one Sunday, which was on Christmas, military trucks at the Catholic Church, they came, and just at the main doors, they put, I think there was six trucks on every door of the church. So after the mass, the military officers were just there, looking at your face, in, out, in, out, in, out. What I recall is that my father was not there, but my uncles were there. They were taken to the commune, which was a district headquarters, and they started beating them, and some died. So I lost well, three uncles during that outbreak.
How did your father survive? Where was he?
My father, lucky he had gone in Congo to sell his cows.
Okay.
So he got the information while he was in Congo that his brothers were
cousins.
Yeah. So he stayed there, and he tried. He found ways of extracting us from Rwanda to join him in Congo.
So that's 90. So now you fled to Congo the first time around 1960.
Yes.
You fled again in
63.
1963.
Yeah.
But this time, I think, unlike the first time, the first time it seemed you were fleeing without real understanding. Now you're fleeing because there's a real problem. Now the threat is there.
Yes, was there.
And you're even now older. Now you're also aware.
Yes.
Of you've started being targeted. You've started seeing things. You're maybe at that time I'm thinking you're 8 years old.
Yes.
So by 8 years old you see everything. You understand.
No, there's leaders. Not only they killed those uncles and others, but they used to come to our house. Dad was not there. They will come every evening. Mom will cook for them and give them some cash. The next day we will come, cook, eat food, cash.
Were they bribing? Was your mom bribing them so that they don't kill you?
Yes. Yeah, because we had one of our brother was probably 64, 63. He was 11, 12. Yeah, but yeah. So they in some household they just take all the boys, take them to all the night, put them in a river, cold river. That was just a kind of torture. Torture them. Then the next morning, go home. Evening will come again.
You do that every day.
So it's that during that period that Dad was able to extract us from Rwanda. But we have experienced the threats in our own household.
So now you go to Congo the second time, you're 8 years old. Do you go back to the community that had received you the first time?
No, because that time my father because he had been staying there for a few months before he extracted us, so he has rented the house. So we rented the house, we went to that house. He bought land, we started the harvesting that time. So the life was somehow not very bad. The only thing we didn't go to school.
So you didn't go to school?
No. But again, people were just waiting that because every time we had that outbreak of fight, not even violence, few months later it was just calm. Then people will start again staying together, coming back together.
Or even the communities, you mean that, there'd be sectarian violence?
Yes.
And then...
whenever the government stopped, people will just come back together. So we didn't go to school because my father was expecting that violence will end soon, and then we go back to home, which happened.
So you eventually went back home?
Yes, we didn't spend even 1 year. It was less than 1 year. And the lucky thing that, for all refugees who had left the country, the government has given the land to someone else.
Yes.
So for us, the land was not given to an individual, but the land was availed to Inhore of the district, to dancers. District has a group of dancers. So as they were not able to pay them, give them the land. Have you can get whatever you want from it, especially the banana plantation. So that they can extract the banana, they have their, even if they didn't destroy it because they will just process their beers from that house. So when we came back, they gave back the land and the house.
It's funny because, you know, my family, they were, when my grandfather fled, I think in 1961, they fled into Uganda and they never came back. So it's very interesting for me personally to hear that, you know, you'd go, you come back. You go, you come back. The question then I must ask is, you know, some who fled into Uganda, they went and said, you know, even if the violence has cooled down, this is not safe. I want to understand the thinking behind your parents' reasoning. Why would they survive torture? They survive harassment. Some of your relatives have been killed. Now you've reached a safe place in DRC, in Congo. You've bought land. Your life is almost back to normal. Why would you then go back into the, you know, you've escaped the fire. Why would you then go back into the fire? What was your father thinking, maybe, and your mom as well?
I can only guess. Because I guess the first one was that we have never fled far from our area. So we just crossed the river. We were in Congo, in safe area. So we could see Rwanda, how things are evolving, the peace coming back. And the second thing is that it takes somebody to have I would say, an evil thinking, to think that your neighbor will kill you tomorrow. Yet you were sharing everything the previous day. So in people mind, people not very educated, not trying to having sophisticated politics. So they will always think that, oh, my neighbor was misled. Next time he will not do that. And the third factor is that I think we really like our country. Rwandans like their country.
Rwandans love their country.
Yeah. So I can even imagine myself at that age looking at the hills. So being in Congo, looking at the hills of where I was born, I was like, I want to even hug the hills from far.
Yeah.
So that feeling of you want your country, you feel that that is your home, I think it is in everybody's mind. So I can only guess that those factors have misled our parents to stay. Part of the hardship outside in Congo. Yes, we got land, but yet you are just a foreigner in that country.
You return, your family returns back. Thankfully, your house is still, it's not ransacked. It still has, I'm sure you had to maybe paint it. There was a bit of damage, but not too much damage.
Not really.
So life continues, but
back to school.
Yeah, but then for me, again, does your father, do you ever feel secure ever again? Because now this is the second time that you've run away. You're now back home, you're in your fields, but do you feel secure in being around, and do you feel that, you know what, maybe we won't have to flee again?
Let me say that as I was growing, I was being more aware of the politics happening. So I can't now say that that was thinking about this, because I was starting also to think how it's happening. And the threats actually reduced. And, neighbors, you start transacting with your neighbors as nothing has happened. And until again 66.
Oh goodness.
That
So
was only 3 years later.
yes.
3 years later, yeah.
Yes. So you come back, you go back to school.
Mm.
By that time you are in what grade? What P what?
Yeah, 66. I was in from from five,
From five.
P5, P5.
P5.
Mm.
So again, you're a big boy now.
Mm.
What happened in 66?
66. The same violence, the same chase.
So
to
Inyenzi attacked again?
Yes,
Mhm.
and that was the last time actually.
Mm.
In 66, 67. Yes, attacked again, and then they start now chasing the leaders. Leaders means somebody who has business like mine. I thought I was having a business. So I could say that in our area, we didn't take more than 4 people. Again, my dad was not at home.
He was lucky.
He was in Congo again. That time, we didn't follow him. And I think himself was a bit upset of taking family in Congo. And the threat was not that much. Because even the people they jailed, they freed them sometime later. And but it was just a kind of coincidence which happened, which helped my dad. Some people from Rwanda have stolen the cows of one of the leaders, Parmehutu leader. That was in 67, I think. So these cows stolen were taken to Congo. And my father, because it was a cow transaction, he noticed that those cows were not the cows they were transacting. Actually, he knew some of the cows of that leader who was our neighbor. And he was our neighbor, but also he was a relative to the burgomaster. So the dad took the cow back from the thief. He has got some influence among the Congolese. He said those cows have been stolen. We need to take them back to Rwanda. So the owner of the cows went to Congo, met dad, took his cow back to Rwanda. Of course, he went to the burgomaster telling, my cows, I was recovered my cows because of Nheza. Nheza was the name of my Nheza. Francis. Then burgomaster sent a messenger to my father saying that now, you are a patriot. You come back. So that coincidence, that incident, that addressed the issues.
So 66, 67.
That came back.
Yeah, that came back. Yeah. Life continued as you.
Has continued. That lasted longer now. Because I finished I completed the primary school in 69. I went to high school.
High school. Where did you continue studying in Rusizi, or did you move to another district?
Again, is something I need to mention. In that time of 67, 68, I couldn't succeed the national test. There were only Hutu could succeed. And again, very few Hutu. Because you could see in one class, we have 40 students, only 3 will succeed. And these were not only I mention this because I was in the first year, I was the third. Second year, I was the first. Third year, I was the first in class, but I couldn't succeed. You could do exam, then you are not selected. So I was lucky now to join the seminary. The Catholic priests were not
sectarian.
Not sectarian. So The first 2 years I said I'm clever. I was very confident. People would talk about the Saint Andre big schools at that time. So that was my first option. I didn't go for seminary exams. The last year I said, oh, that's now I can see what is happening.
So you first time you decide to do the national exam, you say, you know
Yes.
what? I'm going to go to a government school.
Yes.
It refused.
Yes.
Second time you do that again.
Yes.
The third time you say,
I know now what will happen.
I know.
I still made that exam. I
Yes.
didn't succeed anymore.
But then now you choose that maybe it's time for me to go to seminary.
Yes.
Were you planning to be a priest,
No,
or
no.
were you just going there because that was the
an
only
opportunity
school?
to study. Clearly, that was yeah.
So where was the seminary?
I started the seminary in Rusizi, which is there is a parish which is called Ruhengeri. It was first 2 years. It was in that seminary, and that was in 71, 72. So we transferred in 72 September to Nyundo, which is in Rubavu, where my brother was, and it was just before 73.
And 73 is well known because that's when Habyarimana had a coup d'etat.
Yes, but before he took the power, took over the power, I think was they tried to create violence across the country. And the violence started with the University of Rwanda. They chased all Tutsi which were at the university. It shifted to government. You could see at the national banks, in all offices. They put a list on the door. These people are not allowed to come back to the job. But in schools, they start now chasing Tutsi from schools. Now they did from the university, the students from university, after they have chased their classmates, Tutsi, they went to secondary school. And then secondary school, we moved from one school to another one.
And were you listening to that happening on the radio? Were you aware of
No.
that
It happened to
atmosphere?
us. It only happened to us. I got the story later, but at school, we didn't have that opportunity to have those news. It's only one day, one evening that we saw that our big brothers, left the school and fled to the cathedral. Nyundo is the cathedral where the bishop was. So the Tutsi went to cathedral. So we thought, again, we have been misled by whatever factors. Because we felt we were younger, we felt that was not our business. So the first year, the second year, third year,
you stayed.
We stayed. And then the evening, our colleagues, the Hutu, threatened us.
How did they threaten you?
Just they took the baton and started beating us.
Oh.
So again, we fled to the Great Seminary. And then the next morning, the bishop availed vehicles to take us to our respective homes.
Which is very interesting because when I hear that, it almost seems as if every political power and even the church were almost treating you as second-class citizens. Because when you think about this, this is a bishop. He has power, especially in a seminary. And yet, instead of saying that, you know what, these students who are being mistreated, they should be treated better, he says, no. Let me actually put you in a vehicle and send you away.
No, that's not the thinking behind. I think the bishops and the priests, they had that information that from the University of Rwanda, President of Gitarama, Tutsi are being chased from schools. The bishops, that didn't have actually the full power to protect us, because the, the the Hutu group which were threatening us were supported by military camp, which was Bigogwe, which was not far from there.
Really?
They come from Gisenyi, so we could have seen officers coming to have meetings with the students, and so the bishop, I think, he had vehicles actually to protect us. Go home, so that they don't kill you here.
But then someone could say that, you were saying, go home, die over there. Don't die here, die in your homes.
Yeah, but maybe you will be better protected as an individual rather than just this
As a
group.
Yeah. Maybe that. I think
or maybe in your place you will be safe, which was actually the case.
Yes.
Because we went home and some went back to school, to the same seminary, some went out.
But I remember when we were speaking off camera, you were telling me that from the school, they put you on a bus.
Yes.
And then you reached somewhere and there was a bridge was broken.
Yeah, let me just explain the story. It was no bus. It was just a truck.
Yeah.
They put us in a truck. So we went.
How many are you?
We were about 50 in a very big truck.
The big boys, the young ones.
Yes. The big one has gone. A different one.
Okay.
So we went with the young one. We are about 50. So the truck took us up to Kibuye. So I always, when I cross that bridge, I know that bridge was broken. That moment where we wanted to escape. So when we reached that bridge, the bridge has been broken. By who, I don't remember now. But the thing is that the truck went back to Rubavu. Then we moved. We started moving. Walking. No, at the Kibuye Center was a parish. So as a seminary, we thought the parish it's kind of home for seminary, for the young seminaries. So we went there, and the priest who was there was a white Belgian, saying, "No, I can't protect you here. There is a military barrack here, and the people are already starting to talk about students, Tutsi, fleeing. So please go to the next parish." So we moved. We went to the next parish, which was Muwoga. And when we reached there, it was by night. 50 young boys coming to parish of 2 priests. So we didn't have actual food. So we went to the garden. We served ourselves until the next day, when the priest was able to get some food for us. And we stayed there 3 days for one reason. The priest who was there said, my colleague has gone to Changugu. He has a vehicle, a pickup. Let him come back and take you home. He didn't know that priest was a Tutsi. He had fled.
Oh.
Yes. He had fled
with the vehicle.
With the vehicle. So we wait. After 3 days, a group of students came from Tarama, because at that place was a girls' school. It's called Muwoga. So these students, with their machetes, were looking for the girls. In fact, to beat them, to violate, whatever. But the headmasters of that school have also asked the girls to go home.
Yes.
So, and they didn't know that we were actually there. This was a student. So when they came, they went to school, they didn't find anything. They just came back to the parish saying, looking for food. We went to the restaurant. And some of us, of course, when we saw those machetes, have fled and so on. So that night, it was around probably 6 p.m. Then that night we fled. We went to the following parish, which was Kibingo. It was a big distance. Then we reached there by night. We found there a priest. He gave us food. We stayed there for only one night. Then the next morning we came back. We walked up to Shangi. As we were fleeing actually. Some were staying in their parish, respective parish.
They had reached home.
Yeah, they reached home. So we were actually almost the last. In one, when we reached the Nyamasheke, there is a place called Kimini. There's a local beer, the local center where they sell beers, the small shops, and so on. So there was a group of young people. They said, how? There's young boys. So one came and catched one. They suspected, because the radio was talking about a student being free. So they took one and then we ran. We didn't want anymore to take the road. We went through the bushes. But there was a trail taking us to Shangi. And as it was late, we went into the woodland, stayed the night, and the next morning we just moved to home.
So you eventually reach home. You're safe, but I'm sure you're slightly traumatized.
And you could feel in the neighborhood that also people were trying to talk about, there's a student, and so on. And I stayed for only 5 days.
I don't know what happened.
Then what happened is that the youth of Parmehutu came at our home to threaten, not only to threaten. They asked my dad to open the door, and they knew that he had their own machetes, all kind of arms, not really firearms, but all kind of traditional arms. So they came to our home. They tried to knock to the door, asked dad to open the door. He said, no. What are you looking for? You are hiding Nyenzi. Then dad said, I know what you want. He took his own machete. And he just said, no, our door was a metallic door. Yeah,
so it made that sound.
Yeah, it made sound. The door, I will kill you. I know that you are coming to kill me. I will kill some of you. Are you ready? Just open the door, and the group disbanded. He ran out.
Your dad ran out.
You know, the banana farms here were very thick and very dark. But the point for them was not only to follow that, but very few followed that and then came back because they want to loot. So I came in our house. We tried to hide ourselves. We tried beating mom. And they took what was available at our house. And dad tried to make noise. So the neighbors will always be afraid. So the next morning, that they had gone. Dad came back home and said, you know what, you should go.
You?
Yes.
Eugene should go.
He was trying to protect us. Me, my brother. My older one of my brothers had left. The one who was at the same seminary as me had visited home and then fled
to Congo.
To Congo. And me and my older brother, he said, if you have to die, Dad said, I would no. I will not flee at all.
Yeah, so he refused to
tired.
flee. He said, you.
No, you young go, you has a future, you just go. Me and my mom will stay here. We took mom to medical center for treatment, and for us, we just...
You fled.
Yeah, we fled.
Where did you go?
That way, another story. Because, whenever those violence happen to this region, the youth of Paramehutu, well, later on during the genocide, they did the same. They were just to the edge of Rusizi, because they knew that was our way.
Yes.
So what we did was to not to flee through the closest border to Congo, but we went as if we are going to Bugarama. So the downstream of Rusizi, people didn't know us.
Yes.
And then I was with my cousin who didn't know how to swim. And the people who were owners of the boat, which helped us to try to threaten us. I said, no problem. I'll just take my...
and then I'll swim.
And then I swim. So they felt that they were going to lose money, then they took us to the other side. So we went to Congo again.
So this is the third time you got into exile.
Yeah, that one, at that time, at least we were on our own. It's not parent who...
And if I'm not mistaken, this is now 73.
Yeah.
You're now
18
years old.
Yeah.
Can you imagine? So, some of these stories of Rwandans, if you think about it, it doesn't make sense. Yeah, you're 5 years old, you flee. You're 7 years old, you flee. You're 18 years old, you flee. You have not even become an adult, and you've been forced to see violence, terror, and exile. First of all, living here in this country and how we live today, it almost seems magical, fantastical. It does not make sense.
Yes, it doesn't. Yeah.
So you went to Congo again. Were you in Bukavu? Did you go back to your father's old friends?
No.
Did you go to the church?
No, that time the UNHCR was almost making easy to flee to Burundi. They said, we give you money, you go to Burundi where you have the similar schools. Maybe where you talk probably similar ethnic camping. So we went to Bukavu, went to UNHCR. They gave us 12,000 Congolese money. We paid the truck. We went to Burundi. And in Burundi, we found schools.
And probably you also found other Rwandan refugees there.
Yeah, that was the case. People from Butare, from the main side of Rwanda were just fleeing to Burundi. Nyamagabe, Butare, part of Kigali. Yeah, because also there was also some Rwandans in Burundi. We went to our relatives actually. Yeah, and I would say that again, as Seminarians, we were lucky. That same bishop who gave us a vehicle was a friend to the bishop of Bujumbura. So I said, you guys host my boys. So it was easy.
So you went through high school, and then you got into the University of Burundi.
Yeah.
Where you studied biology?
I studied biology, yes. And that was the time of Bagaza. And Bagaza was a very, if I was a Burundian, I would say that was a good patriot. He treated that giving privilege to Burundians. And also foreigners, Rwandans, were almost sidelined. And finding a job was difficult. Even school was very tough now to get school. Then during those years of university, I would always find ways to come to Rwanda to see my parents. Of course, it was very, very hiding. On the way to home and on the way back. How? I had my refugee card and I have a Congolese card. So whenever I want to come to see parents, I would just came to the border of Congo and Burundi, crossing to Congo, hide my refugee card, then move through Congo. You know, there is one road which crosses Rwanda to Congo again. From Uvira, reach Bugarama, you come across Rwanda, reach Rusizi again, you go to Congo. So as our home is on that road, we will always come, stop at our home, and go into Congo. Then I couldn't move. But one day, I did actually. So while I was regularly finding my way to come to Rwanda, see my parents hiding at home, so one time a colleague of mine who have been my classmate in primary school was a Hutu from Eugene, don't keep hiding. Come to the commune, district headquarters. I know the burgomaster, I know I do, he has become like a
friend of mine.
Yeah. I just trust him. I went, and when the burgomaster was to sign my ID, because he wanted to give me ID, didn't have a Rwandan ID. Wanted him to give a ID. So the burgomaster, before he signed, he said, call this person. I went, you, the son of Francois, you come to ask an ID, they don't feel shame. You are a Nyenzi. You should not come to Rwanda. Now you have been hiding, I know, but now I cuffed you.
I think before we get into that story, again, sometimes I think that your generation of men were a bit suicidal. Imagine what you're telling me. You have fled a country and a community that tells you many times we do not want you.
Yes.
And in fact, we shall kill you if we see you. You get fortunate. You survive, you go to Congo. I mean, you go to Congo, then you go to Burundi, you start going to school. You're trying to graduate. But you then decide, no. I'm going to keep going back into the fire. I understand, of course, you loved your parents, you care about them. But then didn't you think that, my God, if I get caught, I will not survive? Or was your love for your parents and you know that love that you know when you said that sometimes you see Rwanda and want to hug it, that love for your parents, that love for your country, it almost kept you coming back. What was your? Because it almost sounds a bit crazy to me.
Yeah, but it must be something stronger than the fear. You know, at 18 years, from 20 years, at 22, 20, 25, you really want to see your parents.
You miss them.
Yes, you miss your mom. But the second thing is that you miss your country. I was saying that whenever I saw the hill of home, I would even want to hug that hill from far because I felt that is home, that is home. So I think, and I'm not alone. You know, many people who have been trying to come to Rwanda, even having parents outside of their own country. You feel that you want to go to your country, and something will probably
blind you to the real
to the real threats.
Mm.
That you come and you know that you after you minimize the threats, there is a lot of chance for me to escape.
And because obviously you had done it a few times, how many times had you gone, come back,
every year? Every year I was able to come until that year when I was.
So how many times had that been? Do you think, going back and forth?
Shall I say not many actually? It was probably 4 times.
So
I was caught the 4th time.
You were caught the 4th time. So now the burgomastery has caught you.
Yes.
You man, you're a Nyenzi. I have got you.
Yes.
What happens?
Go to jail. I went to jail. Of course, my parents were informed. And I spent 3 days in that district jail. Kasho. What they say in English.
French. Kasho.
That's Kasho. And it was really not good. Luckily, I was alone. There was no people, no other people in jail. So I had space. And I was chatting with
the guards.
the guards and so. But the 3rd day, I felt really depressed. Every morning, my parents will bring food, but also they take me to the sun so that I enjoy a bit of sun. So with that 4th day, I went to the doors of the burgomaster, to his office actually, saying, you know what, I'm fed up. I'm tired. Either take me to the main jail of Cyangugu or just let me go home. So he said, you stupid, you want to go to the main jail? I said, yes. Okay, I will do it. He wrote a paper. He gave me a guard with gun. So it was no vehicle, we just came.
You walked from?
So we walked from, it was called Chimbogo, near our place, probably 8 kilometers from here. We came to Cyangugu here, which was just around here. So he took me to the intelligence officer. And that intelligence officer started statement, writing statement. But again, the coincidence was that intelligence officer has been classmate to my brother. My brother was studying in Congo, in Bukavu. And you know, Rwandese, we were in Congo, were not called Inyenzi as we were called. My brother was able to come home.
So the ones in Burundi were the Inyenzi?
Yes.
The same, because you're the same blood.
Yeah,
so you're Inyenzi, your brother is a normal man now.
Yes.
No problem.
Yes. Then that guard Afghan took me to the province, to the security man. My older brother went to that one. My brother in Congo, telling him, you know what, now it is
Eugene.
Now
he has been arrested. It's
finished. Then my brother said, you know, that intelligent man, we studied together.
Yes.
He rushed to that office. So while he was writing information that the question was asking the question, replying, my brother came. Then that officer said, you, Charles? My brother is called Charles. Charles, this must be your brother. He said, yes. He said, he just stopped writing. They chatted, they discussed, and then he told me that actually it is not legal to come without an ID, without any official document. Go to the district, the burgomaster will charge you penalties, then you go to Burundi. I went back, I paid the penalties.
You paid a penalty to be thrown out of the country again.
No, yeah. He said, after you pay the penalty, you go home. You go back to Burundi.
Yes, it's very interesting just to hear those stories of that such injustice, loss of citizenship, and just it's almost cruelty. You know, you're a citizen, you come home. Any normal person would maybe imprison you for illegal entry, but then they don't say, you know what, go. You're not a Burundian. Where are they sending you? Anyway, so now again you've been exiled. This is the fourth time.
I wouldn't call it exile because I was in exile.
Yes. But then you had entered your home.
They said it's illegal entry, then
So
you have a chance to go away.
So again, for me, I call it the fourth time.
Right.
So the fourth time.
Yes.
So this is 84. You've been chased and they've said, don't come back. You graduate.
I graduate. And let me just describe that moment. It was when Bagaza was headlining his positions. So I guess also there was some economic crisis because being very hard with the church, so he was not getting the sufficient aid from the international community. So the few position, it was just you Burundian, you have the privilege, you occupy everything. The foreigners, people were competing. And so, but the other factor again, the intelligence officer who had been a classmate to my brother had been relocated to Bujumbura as an embassy officer.
Okay.
So when he reached the Bujumbura, he started looking at him, saying, where is Eugene? So we met.
So he actually came to Burundi
as an embassy
staff.
Yes.
And then he started looking for you again.
Yes.
That is very strange.
Because he said, the first time he asked me to meet him, he said, I think we are almost finishing the studies. The last time when you were sent to me for jail, I told you, you go and you complete the studies and you get papers from my embassy. 84 was also the time where Rwandans were fighting along Museveni.
So
the country was already feeling some threats.
So that's the Rwandans in this point. That group of Fred Rwigema, Paul Kagame, those groups that started the NRA, the National Resistance Movement, with Museveni fighting against Obote in Uganda from 81 up to 86.
Yes. I think the intelligence of Rwanda started feeling that threat.
The threat of the Rwandan people.
Yes.
That these guys are going to do something.
Yes. And then they started the kind of policy calling individual repatriation.
Mm.
He was saying that there is no space, we can't
accept all of them.
But
we can choose.
If you can, if you apply for repatriation, we'll give that option. That's how actually I got the paper from the embassy through that same officer to come back to Rwanda.
So oh wow. So now you come back. So I think so that people understand what was happening at that time. So Habyarimana had refused the concept of the right to return.
Yes.
For the collective right.
Yes, of
Rwandans, refugees.
Just after 82, when they chased all Rwandans back to Uganda.
But then, of course, because of the pressure you're saying, and the knowledge that these boys, these men in Museveni's army, they might win.
Yes.
And if they win, there's going to be a threat of them returning back.
Yes.
By force.
Yes.
Let us try to reduce the pressure.
And also divide them. maybe some will just want to come. So this will be ours, I would even say. So it's a kind of divide the refugees among those who want to fight and then who want to come.
So they started that individual repatriation.
Yeah.
And I think you were among those who...
Yes, we received the letter from the embassy. And the process was that when you come with that letter, you go to the Central Intelligence of the country.
In Kigali.
In Kigali, it was just the office behind the Capitaliman office. So I went there, and the head of the intelligence, he was called, that's recall his name, was Augustin Doayezo. He was very kind. He said, okay.
You're civilized.
This is get here, exactly what I want to say. He wrote a letter asking the burgomaster to give me ID and all the papers that you want when you want to apply for a job. I was like a degree that I was taking home. But going back at my area, it was the same burgomaster.
Oh my goodness.
I said, you're back. Back? This is Tutsi. You are so. How did you get this paper? This is official. What, from embassy? Oh, I explained the process. He said, you will not get my ID. Go away. I'm not telling you to go away. I wasn't. There was no room for me to go back to the same Central Intelligence saying that the government had denied me an ID.
Yes.
It was very difficult to go again and explain. So I went. I spent 3 months in Kigali looking for jobs. Maybe I thought there would be job without ID because I had the copy of that paper from the intelligence. Of course, there was no job. You have to apply, get these papers, attestation of whatever. 3 months later, I went back to the same burgomaster saying, please, give me ID. I want to apply for a job. And he said, okay, now, go and do Muganda. When you will have enough prisons, enough tick, I'll give you an ID. How long? Maybe 3 months.
Yeah.
I went to my local government level. They said, oh, we are lucky.
You found a teacher?
Yeah, we found a teacher for illiterate. So he gave me 3 months of teaching every week. People how to write, how to read. I did 3 months easily.
You were staying at your
home.
Yeah. With your parents.
Then I went back to the burgomaster showing this. He asked me, he looked at me, I said, which kind of labor have you carried out? I said, I was teaching. He looked at me and said, do you think that there's people with a degree, you have a degree like you, you're wasting time. Others are just rehabilitating roads. You don't want to do manual
work.
No. I said, no, this is what they gave to me. Go away. I felt I didn't have any. What should I go? What should I do? So again, I went back to Kigali. That was 6 months later. Kigali, 3 months later, I went back to the same burgomaster. I thought he would be tired and give me anything. So while I was at home, I found my mom wanted to cut trees. And I said, no, mom, you can't do it. Now I am here. You can do when I am not here, but this time I'm around. So I took the
axe.
Then I tried, because I want not use, of course, my fingers.
You start getting blisters.
Yes. Then, that's it. That was the day before I go to see burgomaster to see if he was willing to give me ideas. So when I went to see the burgomaster, said he was just looking at my eyes, but also looking at my fingers. He said, "Let me see." So that I had some
wounds.
wounds. Oh, now I can see.
Your
You
worker.
Tutsi, you don't want to do manual work. Now I can see. This is what you should have done from the beginning. Gave me idea. Then I got the job.
Where did you get the job?
Even from my university, I was really looking at working in national parks.
Because you were studying biology.
I was studying biology because I knew that Rwanda, I would come back any time to Rwanda, look for a job. I knew all my former teachers when I was in primary school, they used to go in bars, go to Akagera, come telling very funny stories. So for me, I wanted to go to conservation. But when I went back to Kigali with my ID and a certificate, I couldn't. I went to RTP University. What? What are you looking for? What? I said, you're not for a job. We don't have a job for you, guy.
So you went to ORTEP, and that was the former
tourism and conservation
office,
public one. So no, I say no. I went to a private school to get a job, and I got a job, and got married. But I always watch what is happening at the RTPN, at the park authorities, until 3 years later, 88. That was in 85. 88, I got somebody to introduce me to the general manager of RTPN. And it was a position in Nyungwe National Park. I went to Nyungwe National Park. I got the job. Then Akagera, then Volcanoes National Park until 1990, when RPA attacked Rwanda.
So, what were you doing in the Virunga Volcanoes National Park?
I was carrying out research. I had an American professor who wanted to carry out research on bamboo, Agenia. No, those are trees in the national park, the Volcanoes National Park. So he was looking at how they are regenerating, because what we have been seeing that whenever there is a bamboo shoot, when it was dying, was no shoots coming out of that one. Same for the Agenia. So it was just trying to study the regeneration and to understand why. And so what the professor was, the Karisoki Research Center director attached me to that professor to be his assistant. So meaning that we had to collect information, and he will analyze information. I will just collect information, write down, and send to him. But the research meant that we had to sample the places. Sampling the places, why? Because the Volcanoes National Park vegetation is very thick. So unless you put a sign, a visible sign, you will not recognize where you have put your sample. So that's what we did. And few months later, in October, when
something happens, 1990.
Yes.
The RPF attacks the 1st of October.
Yes.
Attacks from Uganda, goes through Kajitumba, and the civil war begins, the War of Liberation. At that time, obviously, you're up there in the mountains. Did you know about the attack? Had you heard about it? Were you, because some people know that, some people understood that something was happening. Were you one of those people who were a bit more politically aware? Or were you, a scientist just doing research?
I didn't have any clue. So I was only focusing on that. Because, I feel that at 30, it was, I had to catch up, because I felt that 30 was, and I was
you're becoming an
old man
yes.
to carry out research. So I need to catch up quickly, so that at 40 I could have been a known researcher. So I didn't have that information. Despite that, one of my brother of my wife came from Congo to warn me when I was in Ingwe, saying, Eugene, but it was, of course, a bit diplomatic. Saying, there is a march, be careful, because there's some more. He was actually he was an RPF cadre, but I didn't know, but he was not also clear.
Yes.
But he tried to
tell you that there's something.
There's something, be careful. So, but I couldn't listen to you. I was looking at my career. So when the RP attacked
October 1st,
I got the information of the second. I was in the forest. The second, I came back to the park headquarters, and fortunately, somebody called me. There was a landline. And actually, it was a friend who was a Hutu. He called me, and they came to ask me from my office call to pick the phone. Of course, everybody was watching me. So whenever those things happen, they watch what Tutsi was doing. I called the phone, Eugene, that RP, there is I didn't talk about RP. He said that we know that there was an attack in Kajetumba. I said no. So I got information. I went back I was outside actually trying to chop bamboos for such purpose. So everybody was watching me. So I felt that people were uncomfortable. Then I just went home. That was on the second. So the same evening, a district security officer came to my place saying that no, we are asked to take you to the district. So this is something which has been happening very regularly in the previous years. I know that I was gone just to be killed. And say bye to my family.
And in your head, you're thinking,
that's the last. I went to the district. I found that there is some Bagogwe there, which were already there. So we are trying to collect all Tutsis around, taking them to the district jail. So the next day, and
you had some children. Did you have children?
Yeah, I had two.
So, some of these things that you say are, we know that's what happened in history, but now that I have a chance to sit down and talk to someone who was actually among those ones who were taken, what is going on in your mind when you're now looking at your wife, your young children, and saying, oh my goodness, I will never see these people again. I'm going to die.
Yes.
Are you crying? What are you, in your mind? I'm sorry if I have to take you to such a bad place. What is happening?
As I mentioned to you, I was my wife and the children were in the living room. For me, I was very tired. I was lying on the bed, but also I was having a beer inside. Resting, but also drinking a bit of my beer. Then my firstborn, Angelo, came to my bed saying, oh, Dad, there's somebody who has a gun come to see you. I was crying.
He was crying.
I went, found the pan there. Who was polite? So you know what? They're asking me to come to take you to the district. Yes, hey, okay. Can I finish my beer? I said, yes. So, that time of finishing my beer, a lot of things came to my head. Where am I
going?
My family. I know where I'm going, I knew. But what will happen to my family? But in the end, I took a course, something hot. Then I
Did you get a chance to talk to your wife?
said, bye. So
This must be very tough. I'm a father and I of children and married. I can just imagine.
yeah, you hug everyone.
Yes.
Sorry.
No, it's fine. I understand. It's tough.
Yeah. Sorry for the video. I hope
Yeah, it's fine.
you manage this.
So you say bye.
I hugged everyone.
I can imagine your wife is crying. Your children
No,
are crying.
even when you are the threat is close to you, you don't even cry. Feel that
You toughen up.
Yeah. So we went to the district, and I found there some what you have been in jail there, spent the night, and probably because I was the only educated there, and they suspected actually that we have some link with Hotelier. The next morning, the military officer was in charge. Came to the jail saying, Eugene Rutagarama, come now. Say, you can go home.
Yeah, they said you can go home.
Yes. I made about 50 meters. You know, the district officer who came the previous day followed me. He said, you know what? You are not afraid. They don't want to watch
Where you're
what
going.
we're going and how we behave. So I said, thank you. Instead of going home, I went to the office. So my colleagues, the rangers, who have been informed that I've been released, came to my home just to threaten and beat me. They didn't find me because I was at my office. Went straight to the office. The office, because I just want money it was on the 4th, and I want money to give to my wife.
It was
because that one has warned me that was want free. So I want some money to give to my wife, then I go back to the jail. So instead of these people, they thought I was at home. They found my wife, they beat her, they beat my children. Then they came back to the office. They found me there. Of course, it was I think it was kind of lucky for them to find me. They took my glasses, they broke them, they beat me, they just took me to the pickup, the park pickup. So behind, so
And
somewhere.
these are your colleagues.
My colleagues.
These are people that you greeted every day.
Yes.
You maybe had shared a meal with, a drink with.
Yes, because I've been on regular patrol with them.
You know each other's families.
Yes.
Which is very, you think about some of the things of our history. It does not seem human.
Doesn't seem human. Doesn't seem to be consistent.
It's not consistent.
The mind of people
of a human.
human.
These are people you've lived with. Now they're beating you and mistreating you, and for what? It does not make sense. Anyway, they take you.
They put me in the back of the pickup, somewhere just having their legs on me, their foot on me. We went to Musanze, jail.
Ruhengeri Prison, that's what it was called, Ruhengeri.
Yes, that was Ruhengeri. We spent again 3 days in the brigade. It was like a police jail. Then they took us to the main jail. I must say that when we reached the main jail of Ruhengeri, we felt somehow relieved. Because in those districts, those police should have been torturing people.
Mm.
But when we went to the main jail, they didn't torture everybody. They tortured some of us.
Mm.
And because my concern was only my family. Because when we went to the main jail, the Red Cross, the international community came to visit us. So somehow we felt that probably since we have witnesses, maybe we will not kill us. Maybe. But people outside, like my family, I was very feeling depressed that they will be killed. Luckily, the international staff that we have took my wife and my children to Kigali, where my brother was. So they came probably 2 months later when I was in jail. They came to say that my family has been evacuated to Kigali. So I was feeling now I'm better.
You know, when you talk about Ruhengeri Prison, us who know a little bit of history of this country, there's a reason Ruhengeri's prison is special because it was the prison where political prisoners were kept. You know, it is known that that was a prison where enemies of people who were so-called enemies of the state, people like I think Theonest Luzinde and those kind of political prisoners, that's where they went. I want to ask you, you who was in that prison with some of the political prisoners, were you in the same group, or was there a special section just for these VVVIPs? Did you ever get a chance to meet them? And if there are any fellow prisoners who we might know today, can you share some of their names?
No, Ruhengeri prison was very known. No, even in the 60s, there was one we call Nyenzi, the people, the refugee were attacking Rwanda. Wherever they could catch, the history of certain Ngurumbe has been jailed for many years. And then after the Tutsi fighters who were attacking Rwanda, then the former Kayibanda dignitaries were jailed in Ruhengeri, some even killed there. Then there is in 1980, jailed there when Kanyarengwe fled the country. So that was a known jail. But they didn't mix as with the Lizinde, even the overall prison who were
no more prisoners.
So they gave us a wing
of just the Tutsis
of 1990.
They used to call it Ibjitso.
Ibjitso, yes, called Ibjitso. So we had our own wing. And actually, I think we were about 130.
How big was that wing?
Very small, probably.
Maybe how many meters by how many meters?
If I recall, it was probably 15 meters by 4.
15 meters by 4?
Yes.
100 people?
Yes.
Oh.
Because there's those ward beds, up and down, up and down, up and down. So we were about 130 people.
130 people.
And it was locked.
And was locked. Did it have a window?
Yeah, that's a window, but in one side.
So at least
it was always hot.
It was.
Yes. And so the worst thing that I remember from that jail, there are 2 things. The first one is because they locked, we had a container where people will go
to use the toilet.
And in the morning, we'll just take that to outside. But also because the time they gave us, we just unlock the door for very short time. And many people want to go to the toilet. And toilet has a big hole. So you could see 3 people
defecating at the same time.
the same time, while others will be waiting, harassing you. Finish, because we want. So it was right.
So 3 men
Yes.
defecating at the same time.
Yes.
One hole, one
hole.
man is here, one man is here,
And
all of you.
in a queue of men waiting.
Open.
Yes. Open.
No
Well,
dignity.
No. It was just open to everybody. So that was the sad.
It's very inhuman.
Very inhuman, yeah. Again, the other one was that they would be picking few people, going to torture them, bring them completely down. So you could feel. One died actually in the same jail because they went to they were many, not many, but few people were going to be tortured. So when they come evening, wounded and so on, just crying the whole night, crying of pain. Those were the worst things.
Did you ever get tortured yourself?
No, I wasn't.
You're lucky.
Very lucky.
But then, thankfully, something happened.
Yes.
To change, I can say, the trajectory of your life. That was the RPA attack on the Ruhengeri Prison. And they attacked the prison successfully and opened the prison gates. Can you remember that day? How long? First of all, how long were you in prison before it happened? And now, can you take us back to that day?
It was 4 months actually. And before that attack, I've been seeing some sign. Sign meaning what? Meaning that you could see the prison security guys that were the one bringing us food. Could see that they were very nervous. Even giving you food, trying to threaten everybody. So you could see some tension when they were fighting. Of course, as we were treated as accomplices to Hotelier, we started now following and being very, very positive about it. We just want to get very positive information about it from RPA, and we had a lot of discussion. We didn't have other options than just talking. And we had the national radio open 24 hours. So we knew that there was fights around.
Could you hear anything?
Not. Yeah, we could just only name people nervous. That same day, the Rwandan radio was, you could listen to radio from 5 p.m., 5 a.m. to 5 p.m. Yes. So I just recall that when that sound of Radio Rwanda were trying to make some music before they talk, there is always some music. We started hearing now fire.
Can you remember the date? What's the date?
23rd.
23rd of what?
January 91. So I just recall that especially. So around 5, that music of Radio Rwanda, and then what? Fire. It started slowly, then it became intensive. You could feel that they are approaching the.
Did you know what was happening?
We thought. I think we knew that was RPF fighting with Rwandan government. Because we couldn't ever have anything else happening because it lasts for almost 1 hour. And of course, our fear was that if the government overtake, they will come to kill us. But of course, if RPA overtake, good enough. But when they came to knock at our doors, because there was a lock inside, we could open from inside, and they could also lock outside. So they removed the lock outside. So they asked us to unlock inside. We said, no. Because for us, we thought that was the national government army, which is coming now to kill us. I think we spent almost 5 good minutes. Surprisingly, you could see Catholic praying, Muslim praying, even traditional.
Everyone's praying.
Praying, everyone praying. And then one of us make a decision. Let me open. We don't have any other alternative. Open. Oh, we saw that was the young RPA soldiers.
Can you remember how you felt at that moment?
I think it was a very, very, very huge relief. But also there was a kind of doubt. What do we do?
Yeah.
Yes, we are afraid. So what do we do? Are they taking us to where they are? Are they going just to have they liberated the whole country? We have all those questions in mind. But the first impression was that we were completely relieved.
You're alive.
Yeah, alive and happy. All common prison, very happy. So there's not a lot of noise in prison. Then we just followed them.
You went up back to the mountains.
Yeah, because we really asked, what is happening next? Have you rebuilt the country? They said, no. Are you going to stay here for the rest of it? They said, no. At 3 p.m., we will have left this town. So make your own decision. We are leaving. Of course, we're with Lizinde, Seroka, people. Then we just followed them.
Did some people decide to stay?
Many.
Oh.
Many decided to stay, including people who were jailed for a political reason, like the late Professor Honorable Musi and some others.
Laurent Musi. He became a minister.
He became a minister after
he survived.
He survived. But he was also tortured and taken to jail.
Because he refused to.
Yeah, he refused to follow.
So if I may, so you now go up. You're following these young men. You don't know where you're going.
They said we are going to we're leaving the forest.
But you don't know where you're going.
No,
you're going to a forest.
Yes.
What are you thinking as you just march past? Yeah, up, going just past the potato fields. Now you're going up, past the bamboo. What's going on in your head?
The big impression is that we are free. Wherever we are going, it's better than the
jail.
The jail, and we are not under the control of this government. So I think we thought they are going to take us to Uganda, whatever, but we are free. That, we followed them. And the surprising thing, I can just recall the first encounter we had was young girls. Yeah, who have been waiting. We were coming from the hard gun, so they just the first step were
young girls with guns.
Yes, girls with guns, and it was surprising to see girls. We didn't know that we had girls. So we started talking to us, and of course the conditions were not very good in that forest. And they were actually, the young girls were surprised that we were clean.
Mm. You were clean.
We all of us, because we came from the prison and we had a shower every day. So, and we were undercover. So even people like a dark skin had the clear skin. Light skin because
no sun.
No sun. Yeah, no sun. So that was the first shock, and then we were surprised, I would say. The first surprise, a positive one. Then we stayed there until it was probably reached there around 2 p.m. Then we stayed there until the night. Then we started moving to the forest until morning. And the next morning, we almost around 4, they asked us to stop. We say, you sleep there. It was in the bush. We slept because we were tired. Then the next morning, we went to the headquarters. So they took some of us, his colleagues, the kind of Dr. Shari Rudakubana, and another called Faustin was working in bank. So those were taken to the high command. And then we were taken somewhere else, where we stayed. And they tried to feed us as they can. Mvungure. No, I think they have been trying to. I even got milk.
Oh, you got milk?
Yeah.
So what did they feed you?
Some potatoes, some beef from the
Chindi beef?
Yes. And of course mvungure as well. They stayed there for 18 days. And after the first week, we started interviewing each individually. If you want to join us, we want to join us. There was nothing like constraining anybody. Just ask you if you are interested to join us. So many of us joined them.
Did you join them?
No.
Why?
2 reasons. The first one, I was 35, 36. And I was feeling old, looking at all these young people who were feeling old. That's the second reason was that a week later, I got dysentery. So I was sick throughout. And I got some, the officer was in charge, tried to find some milk for me, just to release me. And then 18 days, they took all of us down, those who didn't join. And for me, of course, they took me to the hospital of Kisoro.
Kisoro Hospital, that is now on the Ugandan side.
Yeah, Ugandan side.
So you obviously were able to recover, get treatment, recover. And then, funny again, you decide that I'm going back to Congo.
This is the things. In Gisoro Hospital, they treated me very well. But there was an outbreak of that diarrhea in the area. So whenever you were able to start eating something, they say, okay, you now just go, okay. You leave the bed to someone else who is completely sick. And I knew that if I follow the normal things, it would just take me to the refugee camp. And as I was not yet, I had not yet recovered, I felt that was dangerous. Meanwhile, some Rwandans living in Bunagana, which was 10 kilometers from the Kisoro hospital, they had come to me, they asked me, they advised me, if you get better, you come home so that we can treat you, can just recover well. So I went to, when they said tomorrow, we are sorry, we're losing you. Okay, the next morning, early morning, I left the hospital. I escaped from the hospital. I had already asked, what is the road to Nagana? I knew that direction. Then I decided to go that early morning. and it was 10 kilometers. So I reached there around walking, stopping, going to toilet or every 5 minutes, 10 minutes. Then I reached there around evening. So I was very well received, hosted by these people. They treated me well. I recovered completely.
And then from Bunagana, there's a long story, but we'll try to cut that short.
Yes.
You end up going to Goma.
Yes. I went to Goma because I really wanted to get news from my family, and I wanted to restart the life with my family. Went to Goma, then to Bukavu, which is just across. And my family living here, I was able to communicate that I was still alive.
That must have been a great moment when you saw your wife and your children.
Yeah, because the hospital in Ugisoro has reported that they have no track of me.
Yes, because you had disappeared.
So for you, the Red Cross, in their media, they said this died.
Yes.
So the information came to my wife saying,
that Eugene has died.
Yeah, so that's how they got the information. When I reached Bukavu, I got my parents, my mom, my dad came to see me, and then they communicated to my wife that I was alive.
And she was in Kigali.
Yes.
She comes to find you in Bukavu.
No. At that time, I went to Burundi. I got a job. Then I came back to Bukavu to ask my wife to come.
So you were in Burundi for the next
3 years.
3 years. Finally, RPF wins.
Yes.
And you come back from exile again.
Yes.
To join all the other Rwandans who are trying to rebuild the country. Yeah. You went back to Ortepen.
Yeah, I went back to Ortepen, to the headquarters, and since I had some experience, so majority of the staff have either gone, fled, or killed. So there were very few reappearing in that moment. So I was appointed as deputy director. I started recruiting people to start national parks. Then I left. I went to NGOs and just grew up in career until I retired.
So you retired, and you retired now in a beautiful facility, Emeraude Hotel. You know, walking around here, this is it was a big investment on your part. I want to understand, how did you come up with the idea? How did you fund your idea? And just take us through that process. Because you were a civil servant and then you worked for an NGO.
Right.
You are not a millionaire. You did
No.
dig and find gold.
No.
And then, you know.
Yeah.
What was the process?
You know, in 1999, I was appointed to be deputy director of the NGO, which was based in Nairobi. The NGO for which I was working here in Rwanda, they just appointed me to be the deputy director, and the position was based in Nairobi. And that was 1999. So we went on 3rd January 2020. 2020. And I went with my wife and the children, and the first night we said, no, NGO, they just give the contract for 1 year. It's not in the government where they have
a lifetime contract.
Yeah. So that night I discussed with my wife, what are we going to do? She had left the job, her job, to join me in Nairobi, and had one contract of 1 year, renewable, yes, but still secure. So we said, you know what, we have to think quickly what we are going to do in Rwanda when we go back to Rwanda. And you know, in 2000, Rwanda was really still at its knees after the genocide. That was 6 years later. So we said, no, we need to learn from this country where we are, and then we find what we can take back to home. So the next few days we thought with my wife, okay, maybe Kenya is very strong in hospitality. Let's think that we are going to invest in hospitality. And decision was made. My wife started the hotel management studies, and I came in Rwanda to select a site, but also every holidays. We are going to divide the holidays. One will be for socializing with family, come back to Rwanda, but half of it we are going to go into the national park to see lodges, the beaches, to see the hotel there. So we spend a lot of time learning, visual learning, but also my wife also trying to study formal studies of hotel management. And we didn't have money actually, as you said, but we were very hopeful. And in the end, we became passionate about it. And so when we came back to Rwanda, but that was in 2000. 2002, I got the plot. 2002, I had written officially, I've got the plot, given plot, not the bought the plot.
You were given this plot.
I was given this plot. Later on, I bought an extra land, but that was a given. And then it was not possible, not easy to start building anything from Nairobi. It was very, first of all, we didn't have enough money, but also we didn't have time to come and monitor the building. So when we, in 2007, when there was that outbreak of violence in Kenya following elections. So I say, the NGO had been in Rwanda before the genocide. So I told to my board member, at that time I had been promoted again as the director of the NGO. So I said, Kenya is not safer than Rwanda. Because the excuse have been always, no, Rwanda is not safe. We can't take this in Rwanda. We can't take this back in Rwanda. So you see, Kenya is not safe. And the following, the over happened was that I was hijacked. And the following, my daughter was hijacked.
Oh, you were actually hijacked in Kenya?
In Kenya, and my daughter too. So we said, this is not safe. Let me go back. If you can't move this and go to Rwanda, we said, no, move it. So we moved back to Rwanda in 2008 with the offices, with Kenyans, So when we came back, I had made some saving. When we came back to Rwanda, not only the NGO was settled, but also I'd done my time in my country. I started with my saving my target was only 8 rooms. So I made everything to start for 8 rooms. Of course, 8 rooms in the main building with a restaurant, kitchen, and so on. So from my saving, I built up to some level. Then I just stopped. I worked for additional 1 year. That thing has stopped. 1 year I have also saved some money, but also have also started contacting banks. Are you able to fund me? I was just a civil servant and I didn't have much money, not only money, but also security. So the bank will always say, what is your security? I have a small house in Kicukiro. It couldn't be the security for a loan. So with my saving, again, I built up to the roof. When I got the roof, the bank said, okay, we can give you some money now. So I completed the 8 rooms, the main. I said, we started running the business. But because we have we have made a survey here, we knew the standards. So we upgraded the standards. Lucky enough, we have studied from our experience in Kenya. So we we have upgraded the standard compared to the hotels around here in Rusizi. So from the time we completed the 8 rooms.
And when was that? What year was that?
That was in 2013. So people start coming.
And today,
especially decision makers,
yes,
ministers, embassies.
Because it's very beautiful. It's well done.
Yeah, and it was the only thing. So we started feeling a pressure, not only from the customers, but also from the banks. Banks said, no, you are doing good business. Why don't you just expand? And in the end, we said, why not? So we added the building that is there, which is a flat of 3 floors. And we opened that building during the last campaign, 2007. And then we got the extra money. We added another one, which has a meeting room. So this is how.
Yeah, you built this hotel. Now,
yes.
You started from 8 rooms. How big is it now? How many rooms?
35.
35 rooms.
Yes, yes.
First of all, congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Well
Thank
done.
you very much. But step by step.
Yes, it's. I think one of the things that I'm learning from what you're telling me is because it was not by mistake that this hotel happened. 1, you had the dream. 2, you got the talent. Your wife went and actually learned how to formal education.
Yeah.
3, you did research.
Yes, a lot.
A lot of research. Then you did what I could call best case scenarios. You went to see how do other people have standards.
Yes.
How do they build hotels? How do they act?
Every corner, everything. What's the functionality of hotels?
Yes, and that's so important because I think even for young people who are listening, and maybe not, they don't want to do a hotel, but they maybe want to do another business.
Yes.
Those are the lessons that they can apply even in normal
any business,
any kind of business, any kind of project. I want to end this conversation. I want you to look back. So we've had your story from 1955. We are now in 2024. 30 years after genocide and liberation. When you look into the future, you're God willing, you'll be there in the future, but your children will be there in the next 30 years. Where do you see not only this hotel, but where do you see this country? How do you imagine it to be?
Let me say that as I have been able to do this business, to have what I have now, considering what has been my life, considering what has been the political setup, and considering the trend that the current leadership is giving to this country, the opportunities which has come into this country, I say that I start in 2000, thinking about in 2000. And as I said, Rwanda was still on the knees. Yet I started thinking, how can we do this? Now, I think that young people, or whoever is currently thinking now in setting a business, the business environment is much more conducive than when I started this business. So looking ahead, I think that there is a lot of shortcuts that people can take from what I did, which can lead them to do much bigger things. We got even more investors. Rwanda can now have joint venture with people, foreigners who are bringing investment. Rwanda can start businesses themselves. Everything is clear to them. So I think that the next 10 years, 20 years, the business things, business will thrive much better than what we are doing right now. And my children or whoever will take over from where we are. I think there is huge opportunities ahead for Rwandans and for people living in Rwanda, for our children, for our grandchildren, and I wish the best.
And do you ever see your children or yourself ever going back to exile for the 7th time?
Now I can say, I can repeat the words from my father.
Yes.
I'm tired of exile.
No more exile.
No more exile. And I don't see it coming, considering I'm talking about things, you feel that it's almost a bad dream. Even for myself, who have lived this kind of life, it's like a bad dream. So this is not something which will happen in the next future. And so I think the opportunities are there, the threats are being minimized, the people are being more educated, and I think there's funny things that we lived will no longer come again.
Mr. Eugene, thank you so much for joining me on the long form. It was an absolute pleasure.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much.
Thank you for sharing your story. I think it's very important that people like you tell us the truth of our history, but then also people like you give us hope that our history is not our future.
No, not at all. Not at all. Thank you.
Thank you. If you enjoyed the conversation today, share your thoughts with us on our social media platforms. You can find us on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok.